Welcome to episode number 3 of Highly Productive, a podcast in which we sit down with people who use cannabis on a regular basis and we're still able to accomplish a lot in life. And the beauty about the internet, Sam, actually, let's start. Who are you today?
Yeah, man. So first off, this is really rad. I'm stoked to be here. This is I know that I'm the first chef that you've spoken to, so ever. So I'm really excited to be the first.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And yeah, man. So I just appreciate you having me. And within the name of the podcast, that's what I do. I am highly effective and and highly productive in my day to day. I get a lot done, and I do use cannabis as a tool to get there.
As a utility. We were talking about utilities.
You know what I mean? As it's a tool in the tool belt, And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam Talbot. I'm a chef. I'm 44. I've been cooking since I was 13, man. So it's been a minute. I'm also a type 1 diabetic. And yeah, so I kind of use food not as not as fuel, but as medicine. You know what I mean? And same thing with THC and cannabis. I use it as a medicine to get me to where I need to be. It's a equalizer for me.
Yeah, that's good. When did you get diagnosed with that?
Yeah, so man, I'm 44. I got diagnosed when I was like 12, like between 12 and 13 years old.
And the cooking part, did that come from there? Or where did the passion come from?
To be honest, no. Like I was, my grandmother, my grandparents, when I was diagnosed, I was living in Cleveland, Ohio. I kind of claimed the South as where I grew up. But when I was in my early, 1 to 10 or 12, I was in
Is Ohio considered the South?
No, but I moved to the South after that. And
got it.
You were like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
No.
It's like Midwest last time I checked.
Yeah, right.
You're from Chicago, I know. Yeah.
Totally. No, so then I moved to the South, and that's kind of what I claim, that's where I was a teen. But being in Ohio, man, so we had a little farmer's market at the end of the street and stuff like that. And so I kind of grew up in a family where my grandmother was always cooking like simple things, eggs and bacon in the morning and quick lunches and stuff like that, but all from the farmer's market, all clean, organic, no sugar in the household, no
sugar.
No, man. Yeah. Before I was diabetic, which is very interesting. I grew up in a household where it was a treat for me to go to a friend's house who had name a famous cereal, Trix or Apple Jacks, dude. Apple Jacks was my favorite.
Same.
But I couldn't have that in my house. So I would go to my friend's house and be like, oh, Carter, you think you got any cereal there? You know what I mean?
Did Carter give in?
Carter would give in.
Shout out Carter.
Yeah, shout out to Carter. Carter Morgan, I love you. But anyway, yeah, man. So the food thing, the food thing was always a natural love. And then me, even at a young age, and then I got diagnosed at 12. And then these are the chem, right?
Those are the chem. And then I'm smoking on our blueberry haze.
Cool. I'll jump into the chem.
Yeah, please do.
And then, so the love of food was already kind of blooming. And then I got diagnosed at age 12, 13 years old. It ran in my family.
Yeah.
My uncle had it. And so my mom kind of knew the symptoms. I was like, my blood sugar when I went to the hospital was 1,200. And just to put that into perspective, a normal blood sugar, like y'all's blood sugar right now, is anywhere from 90 to 110. If you were to down a glass of orange juice and eat a waffle, maybe you'd go to 120.
I did.
Yeah, right, totally.
I did down earlier.
Yeah, you're like, I had a breakfast burrito. No, but so yeah, man, I went in. It was pretty crazy. They're like, I can't believe this kid's standing. But then,
1,200. God, so obviously you're in the what happened?
So yeah, I went in. They were like, wow, you're definitely diabetic, and my mom started crying. I was like, no, this is going to be okay. But ever since then, I knew that food was obviously a part of our human existence, but I also knew that it was going to be a really important part of my survival of whether I wanted to play sports, whether I wanted to become a chef. God knows, whatever I wanted to do was going to become a part of it. And so I started playing with my food at a young age, man. Your parents are like, don't play with your food. I was like, I knew that if I ate a bowl of mashed potatoes, that maybe midway through a 2-a-day football practice I might get tired, but if I ate clean salads with grilled chicken and protein and clean carbs, then I could go all day. And so I knew about that at age 15, 16 years old, and so I kind of carried that throughout my cooking philosophy, and that's kind of where we're at today.
I am an avid watcher of just documentaries surrounding culinary arts and all that, but I just love grilling and cooking. Like, it's my favorite thing to do. When my wife and my kids say, "Can you make breakfast?" It's like the happiest moment. Like, I love doing that.
Yeah, man.
I love doing it. And it's simple stuff, right? But I've always had like this affinity towards the art of it. As an artist, but the culinary arts is just something that's always intrigued me. And even to this day, and the reason that it's dope that I get to talk to you is I want to restart a show that I started almost 5 years ago called El Chefe. It was just
like that.
whatever, and where I just recreate or put into effect my mom's recipes, like all the Mexican recipes that I love dearly, and the reason why I can never go on a diet, right? Because of that. And I've been contemplating going to cooking classes and that sort of thing. Do you have?
You got me now, man.
Yeah, exactly. So do you recommend that, like, for aficionados of cooking? Is it how do you feel? Like, did you go to school for this?
Yeah, I did go to school. I did go to culinary school, and I think that it's kind of, if you're going in this lane now, I went to culinary school. I'm 44. That was when I was 20, right? So it was 24 years ago. There was no texting then. The internet wasn't that. The internet was just starting, whatever it was, right? And now, with the amount of information that we have available to us, obviously too much information, but I think that a regimented, school, whether you go to Johnson & Wales like I did, or CIA, or a local culinary program in your city, I think that can help a lot, and I think it can give you the foundation, the fundamentals, that, like, kind of the ABCs of what you need. Where someone could say to you, "Hey, like, I need you to get your mise en place ready, pull your mirepoix together," and you'd be like, "What?"
Yeah.
But if you went to culinary school for even 6 weeks, you'd be like, "Okay, I know what they're talking about," and you would learn
what
how
are
to make
they talking about.
So mise en place is like your mise en place it's French for your prep. It's like your ingredients that you need. So if we were gonna make like one of your mom's like tamale recipes, right? We need to have all those ingredients in front of us to start. That's the mise en place. So to roll a joint, we need a mise en place. So we need our weed, we need our grinder, we need our lighter, we need our tray, we need everything we need, and that's our mise en place. And those are the foundations of cooking, and you learn terms like sofrito, because every culture has a sofrito. Mexico has a sofrito. Italy has a sofrito. The south of France has a sofrito. And so I think culinary school, you can gain a lot, but I also think that you can gain a lot from going, if you're younger, right? If you're like forget it, whatever age you are. Just at some point you have to start paying the bills, but I'm saying if you're at a point where you're starting off and you can afford to maybe just stage, right? Which means work as an intern for you live in Dallas. If you're like, man, I want to learn how to cook, I'm going to find the best chef in Dallas, the seafood chef in Dallas, because I love seafood, and I want to go in there, and I'm going to, hey man, can I work for free for you for 2 months? Like, peel potatoes, wash dishes. I just want to watch what goes on. Like, that's what I recommend. When you really get thrown to the wolves and see it firsthand, just that food culture happening on a day-to-day, because school preps you, but it's not like that
experience.
That experience.
Yeah, that experience. Seeing everything in person, obviously, for me as a visual learner, is the way to go. I need to have my hands touch the things that they're working.
And in real time.
In real time.
Not someone say like, hey, this is what it's going to be like. No, I want to do it now. Yeah. So I can make my own mistakes.
The freedom to freeze time while you answer a text and then replay it to see the class continue is just, it's detrimental in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it fucks with your timing also in the cooking, right? Which is mega important.
100%. And I just had a phone call about this morning. I was on a Zoom and I was like, hey, it was for an event I'm doing. I was like, hey, when you guys start to talk, we have to like, I can't serve cold food. So like, I need to know that like when your speech is done is when I'm putting up the first course, because timing is everything when you're cooking. And when you're doing most things, whether you're cooking or, timing it's important. Yeah. And
in art, the way the paint dries, you can't paint on top of a paint if it's, everything, right? So the art, the comedy, right? Like obviously comedic timing.
Yeah,
like
of course.
Everything is timing.
Yeah, true.
Right place, right time isn't necessarily just a saying.
No,
right? Like it's an actual phenomena that happens in humanity.
100%. 100%. And the comedic one is definitely with their comedic timing is everything, right?
Oh yeah, everything. The delivery of
the delivery of it.
Yeah, the delivery of it. In what order you deliver stuff. All right, so you grew up in Ohio. When you say you went to the South, where did?
I went to high school in Charlotte, North Carolina. I went to Catholic school my whole life in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then I spent my summers in Charleston, South Carolina. And then I went to Culinary School in Charleston, South Carolina, Johnson and Wales.
Catholic school all the way through just
one to first grade to
Six?
high school?
Oh, high school.
Yeah.
Through high school or up to high school?
During
Eighth
high
grade.
school.
Oh, during high school
Yeah.
also?
Uh-huh.
I went to Catholic school in Mexico until I was sixth grade. And
Oh,
then
really?
After that, I went to the regular community college.
Up until 8th grade, it was, uniform based, a little more strict. But then when we got to
co-ed?
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and then when we got to Charlotte Catholic, you could wear I could wear this shirt. You couldn't wear that because it says Pine Park, or I couldn't wear this because it says the word rock. But you couldn't wear Ralph Lauren or anything with a label. So, but it was co-ed and it was a little more lax, I felt, than most some
What, nuns, priests?
all the above.
Both, yeah. We only
Sisters,
we only
nuns,
had sisters and nuns at ours.
Sisters, fathers, priests, all of them.
Yeah, no, and they beat our ass.
Dude, no doubt.
Yeah.
I was telling that story. We got in trouble one day for TPing one of the cheerleaders. We all played football and we TP'd the cheerleader's house, car and everything in the house. And God, we got those sisters didn't mess around, man.
Yeah, no, they don't. And then they'll shame you and kick you out and make you go outside. All right, so you're in high school. At what point do you make? I mean, I don't know. What did you want to be during high school?
I knew it.
What were your paths?
I mean, so I was naturally, I was always in the kitchen. I was, at 14, I did my first Thanksgiving when I was 13 for my family. I was obsessive. My aunts and mom were like, "Can we help?" And I was like, "Get out of the fucking kitchen."
Yeah.
So I was obsessed with kind of I'm a Capricorn and I loved cooking and I didn't want anybody to mess with I stuffed my first turkey when I was 13 with sausage and oysters. That's really freaky for a 13-year-old kid. Yeah, dude.
And how do you my thing is,
that's a classic thing in the South. Yeah,
Okay.
but the fact that I was doing it as a 13-year-old is kind of weird.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Or the fact that I knew that was a classic thing when I was 13. You know what I mean? It was just weird.
Yeah, okay.
But it's actually
that makes more sense. Obviously, the creativity.
You thought that I came up with it, which I should have just owned that.
Man,
No.
and that's the other thing. Once we get into the nitty gritty of things, I want to ask about how far is too far when inventing something new, right?
Yeah. Well,
I'll ask you that later.
Sure.
But I said it out loud so that Josefo can remind me because
Cool.
these podcasts, you think of one thing and immediately
Goes to the other.
So, all right. So very early on, you knew that you wanted to cook, but as a kid, did you know that is an option?
No, I didn't. And so until I was 14 years old, a freshman, or I think we were freshmen in high school, and I clearly remember being at basketball practice and one of my buddies coming up to me and saying, "Hey, one of our other friends' brothers just got hired at this grocery restaurant / place called Dean and DeLuca, and he was getting paid $7 an hour." And we were all like, "Whoa, $7 an hour." And so we all went to that place the next day, and they were just they ran through our 6 friends. They were like, "Okay, you can go to the pastry department, you go to the," and hired all of us, and all of us were split up. And then we were all like, "Whoa, we got this." And then after working there for a week, this one guy came up to me. He was like, "How serious are you about cooking?" One of the older chefs. And I was like, I'm not. I'm 16. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing. And he was like, "You need to go buy this book." And I bought my first cookbook, Larousse Gastronomique. And then from meeting that guy, and
Link in the description for that.
yeah, Larousse Gastronomique, he's the godfather of the classic French gastronomy. He's without him, there would be no other cookbook. There'd be no Jacques Pepin. There'd be no any of us. You know what I mean? Those are the forefathers of. Not to say there'd be no Jacques Pepin, but I'm just saying that he was one of the godfathers as Jacques Pepin.
He changed the game.
He changed the game, and this was in the 1600s, 1700s. He made the game. He didn't change it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's I don't know any of this, right? All I know is that I love eating, love everything, right? So for somebody to one day say, "You know what? These are our dishes. Why don't we get creative and just eat combos of shit?"
That's
who. You know what I mean? At what point do you get that idea, and how do you get that idea?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, there's certain things for example, I had this restaurant in 2008 in Montauk. Do you know Montauk?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was in
Never been, but yes, I've.
Cool. So it's had this restaurant there called the Surf.
Explains the fisherman hat.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fisherman's town.
Yeah.
A fisherman surfing drinking town.
Yeah.
Like most fishing towns, I guess, right? And so it's at the eastern end of Long Island, and I had this restaurant there called the Surf Lodge, and it was based on local seafood and like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s surf culture. And what was my point? Oh, the point was you asked about creativity, and I had a dish there that was two of the most creative dishes that were on that menu were also the top selling dishes, which also Food and Wine magazine gave like, most creative or best recipes of the year, all that kind of stuff when they picked their top 10 recipes. And the first one was crab ceviche with blueberries and popcorn. And then the second one was seared scallops with pickled watermelon and ricotta salata. And when you think about those things, you're like crab with blueberries and popcorn, or then scallops with watermelon and cheese. Like that breaks that's like a huge no-no in like certain cultures. Like you don't put cheese with seafood in Italian food per se, if it's not like Parmesan, you know what I mean? So there was, or fruit with crab or popcorn. But if you go back to, looking at Peru and how they serve ceviche and how ceviche originated, they serve it with like their version of a popcorn. And because it's salty and fatty from, however they cook it, that it cuts through the citrus and the acidic values of the fish. So that creativity came from their culture, right? And I was like, oh, I can maybe do that with crab. And then, so there's a level of, I think you just as a great artist, or as a creative, whether you're making a wall or painting, or
because this wall could have been made of just one color palette wood,
right?
It is the addition of this shade of a gray on the wood, and then the texture.
And the recycled textures and all of it makes a beautiful like backdrop. Where it could have just been like palettes or a curtain or whatever. You know what I mean? So there's a certain level of where you have to like know when to reel it in a little bit. Where because you said like your family, when you get so stoked when your wife and kids are like, let's make breakfast, and it's really simple. To me, really simple is really refined. And when you go into like a room, like speaking from like an interior design viewpoint, if you walk into a room and it's clutter, no matter, it still looks good, you're like, where it's like minimal, like a minimalist lifestyle, minimal on the plate, minimal on the canvas, minimal on the wall, where all these things make sense, but it's only 1, 2, 3, 4 shades, or it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 ingredients on a plate. That's when shit goes off. Yeah. When it's simplicity and refined,
you see everything,
but done with technique. Yeah. Done well. Done with like, if you're making scrambled eggs, you're slow cooking the scrambled eggs, so there's no weird brown edges. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. You walk into the most cluttered room in the world, you might miss the point that it is so sanitary and that there's not a speck of dust. But immediately, because of the busyness, you associate that with mess. Mess then in your head gets
thrown
confused
with dirty.
Exactly. But which is not the case.
Totally. So it can be the cleanest mess.
In graffiti, you have that. I mean, this has been something that's always happened. A lot of people who don't paint graffiti will say, if you can't read it, it's good, right? Because it's complex. Graffiti writers are like, if you can't read it, it's bad, right? Everything else, all the arrows, all the doodads, all of that adds on to nothing, right? It's just distracting from the fact that it is. I mean, some people can execute busy fucking amazing.
I agree.
Right? But when you don't know how to execute busy, it looks messy, therefore dirty, therefore, bad. So the beauty of that is that because of the simplicity of having this here, there's nothing else to distract you from the imperfections of said thing, right? So the presentation then becomes a little bit more, which is why simplicity is the toughest thing to pull off.
Totally.
And it's the same in cooking, I'm assuming, because there's no distractions.
Very much so. And, then you start to think as a chef, you're like, oh, but wait, man, I could add caviar to this, or wait, I could add this other, very refined, very extreme delicacy or something like, and keep trying to elevate it. Where at the end of the day, you know what? It's if you're just doing a really amazing soft scrambled eggs and leave it alone, maybe it doesn't need caviar. Or if it did, that could be like this one little, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Sometimes just simple and go to the farmer's market and get the best eggs you can get your hand on. Get Celtic sea salt and get organic. You know what I mean? You don't
all of that,
that things, different flavors, organic. And especially, I think obviously food. There's something that You said it. It's your favorite part of the day when your family is like, "Hey, Dad, can we go in the kitchen and make breakfast?" But like,
I don't even look. They can stay in the rooms until breakfast, right? Like I don't know why I don't know why that is a sign of love for me. Me cooking is like I don't know why, but I enjoy doing that.
You're nourishing your family.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean,
that is.
I mean, it's the subconscious of it.
Yeah,
It's like what you're doing is you're literally like you're the source, and you're you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like I mean, it's
I think it also reminds me of like my parents, my mom cooking.
Totally
my mom is
nostalgic.
the best. I mean, everybody says this, right? Obviously, but I think she might be the best fucking cook
totally
ever, right?
Right.
So
my mom was not the best cook ever. She was good. There was certain, but like her hamburgers sucked.
Yeah.
But her linguine, Mom, I love you, but like your linguine with clams were bomb. But like she couldn't make a cheeseburger to save her life.
Dude, you know what I would like to do in the future, and for fun, and if we make content out of it, we make content out of it.
Totally.
I would like to bring my mom, feed you, right, and then give you the recipe, and then have you spin what she. You know what I mean?
Dude, that would be such a fun thing. I would love that.
Because I want to be like, okay, well, let's see how my man Sam does it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's the thing, right? Because there's certain, obviously, your mom growing up she lives in Mexico now, right?
No, not anymore, but yeah.
Okay.
So, well, I don't know. We've been here for 27 years.
Okay.
Wait, yeah, something like that.
But she grew up there.
She grew up there. I was born in El Paso, but grew in Texas. But I grew up in Juarez, Mexico.
Understood.
So she's the majority of her life was spent over there.
Okay, cool. So I mean, like, obviously, I've heard of some of the dishes that she's probably, that you probably grew up on, and yeah, I think that'd be really fun because she obviously has this authentic, super cultural, like, family.
Northern Mexico.
Love that, dude.
And it's simple, right? It's meat, potatoes, peppers, and that, right? So the simplicity.
Do you guys use a lot of cheese?
I don't think so.
Cool.
I don't think so. I mean, there are dishes that she prepares, if I was to tell you that I have eaten the same breakfast every Saturday, every single time I've been within a 1 hour distance of my mom, would you believe me?
Wow.
Since I was, I don't know, since I can remember.
What's that breakfast?
It's the breakfast itself isn't what makes it the breakfast. Is the side dish that makes it that specific breakfast. So I can eat bacon, egg, and beans. Right, beans is like a basis, right? Staple. So we have eggs, meat, and beans. But on Saturdays, my grandma used to make Aurelia used to make a dish called chile piquin, and it's the name of this. It's a piquin pepper. It's a tiny little red pepper.
Uh-huh.
You for sure have seen it.
Totally.
But it is made into this sort of salsa, but it's like boiled, and then you add cheese to it, and then that's what you pour over. You ladle over the thing.
What type of cheese?
Like
cotija,
Chihuahua.
Oh, Chihuahua.
Cotija. I mean, yeah, and it's not. I mean, to be honest, I've eaten goat cheese with it. I've eaten every single cheese that could be imaginable out there. Not any yellow, but all.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And every single time it's just like a different taste, and it tastes just like amazing.
Wow.
So every single time, every Saturday, if I'm home on Saturday, I'm eating one thing. I can open my phone to prove it. I take a picture of it every single week and send it to all my friends back home. Since the time that I could remember, since 5 years old, every Saturday, you can bet on the fact that Hector ate 2 eggs, meat, bacon, hot dog, bologna, whatever, and then beans with that chile on top of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's all it is the piquin pepper and the queso?
It's
pureed?
It's super simple.
Fuck.
And it is one of the best. I mean, for me, every Saturday that I have been able to eat it, I eat it, bro.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yeah, that's mad Saturdays. Not saying you're old, but you know what I'm saying?
42.
Yeah, right on.
Know? But that's a lot of Saturdays.
Yeah, it's
man.
a lot of Saturdays.
A lot of Saturdays to
that's
go
dedication.
out of my way to specifically eat that.
Yeah, that's rad.
So good. So I mean, we have to make that happen. So I want you. I want a professional who has seen the world, tasted the world, to try my mom's cooking.
Man, I'd love to. And it's crazy you say that because I've been to I've been to all 50 states and then 55 countries.
Mm-hmm.
So I have.
That is.
It's been
55 countries.
Yeah.
55 countries.
Yeah.
Jesus, man. I've been to 4.
Really?
Have I? All right. So for sure, let's start Australia. Because, the continent of Australia. We went to Melbourne.
Yep.
And it's not Melbourne. It's Melbourne.
Melbourne.
So Melbourne, Canada, and that was like once to the Niagara Falls.
Sorry, that counts.
Niagara Falls.
Even if you had to swing through it on an airport, like
okay, I've been to Greenland.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. I landed there, and then from there I went
so
to Belgium. No, Antwerp.
Okay.
Antwerp. Is Antwerp a city? That's in
Antwerp's
Belgium?
It's in Belgium.
Okay,
yeah.
so Belgium. France and London. So 6.
Yeah.
6.
My cooking has brought me a lot of places. My curiosity has brought me a lot of places. Traveling the country came from, I did Top Chef a few times, and the first time I did it, I was 28 years old. It was like 2006.
Yeah.
And I came off that show, and I had this weird, like, newfound fame that was attached to me. Like, I would go into Bodega in Brooklyn, and they'd be like, dude, that was crazy that you did the shrimp with the sambuca.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Because they try it.
And at home, and it was also the number one cooking show on cable TV at that time.
Yeah. Well, which was what?
Top Chef.
Top Chef. You came in number 2 when?
Yeah. Number 3 in 2000.
Well, I in my heart, you were number 2. Okay.
Thank you. In some hearts, I even won. So
won 100%. I think. What do you think about like obviously the chefs that are judging this thing? Like, do they ever bring in? Because I haven't watched the show, but
legends.
Yeah.
They bring in legends.
Yeah, legends. But like, do they ever bring like some random Hector, like a Josefo to be like, yo, what do you think?
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, not that y'all are random, but yeah, no, they bring in people like, they'll fill the studio.
Okay. And they all eat.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
They'll take their opinion into consideration. So you might be the guest judge.
Is that a problem though?
Well, yeah, fucked me one time.
Everybody has a fucking opinion.
Yeah,
nowadays,
totally. In Charleston, I've been on Top Chef twice. Once in 2006 or 7 or something, and once in 2016 when I had a fried chicken restaurant in Brooklyn that I was promoting.
Yeah, and
we went to Charleston, my old stomping grounds, and the challenge was to use a radish.
Ooh,
like create a dish around a radish, and I just fucking bombed it. But anyway.
What did you make?
Actually, I didn't bomb it. They needed a sacrificial lamb, and they picked me. Let's say that. I made a radish banh mi. But Padma. I know you've never seen the show, but there's a few different judges: Padma, Tom, and Gail, and then there's always a guest.
Mm-hmm.
And Padma is like kind of the matriarch of the show, if you will, And she looked at me and she said, "Sam," and I said, "Fuck." I was like, "Yes, Padma." She was like, "Did you make your brioche?" And I was like, meaning like, did I make my bread for the sandwich? And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Deuces." And I was like, "Fuck." But
did you consider making the bread?
No, I didn't have time. You can't like make brioche in whatever weird time limit that we had and all that, and like to do it perfectly.
So because you didn't bake your own bread.
But it came down to also there was a room full of Charlestonians in the room, and so it was between me and the female chef, and I think she like won by a few votes. It was like if there was 50 votes, maybe she got like 28, and I got like 20 whatever 3 or something, and it was very close. But then Padma got me with the bread comment, and that was all she wrote, boys.
Yeah.
But anyway, someone who's traveled the world,
yes.
And I was like, well, yeah,
55. I went to 6.
Yeah.
6.
Not a competition, but I was just throwing it out there.
But if it was, you would be winning on the travel side,
right? And you would definitely be winning on the gaming and cannabis side.
We'll see, right? Like this, the gaming for sure.
Yeah,
not even a question.
Right.
This, we're starting to.
Hell yeah!
All right, so
you know what my guilty pleasure is, by the way?
No, let me ask.
I play Call of Duty on my mobile.
Yeah,
Call of Duty mobile.
Yeah, you guys have You guys have right now a better product than we do on PCs.
Really?
Yeah. What is it? Is it the economics of how much money Activision makes on that side versus this side? I don't know. But if you play the game that you play is vibrant. You get to play maps from way back when.
Yeah.
The weapons, you can use all the weapons,
yeah.
the skins, the layout. It's just a game. It's a vibrant game. In PC and the traditional game that you give, console players and whatever, like you are still trying to be forcefully put into an immersive environment that you're like, yeah, like where originally Call of Duty was I get to see what soldiers in World War II saw, and it's immersive. it became something different
Totally.
as the years went on.
Yeah, it's like
you actually became the soldier, but you're not immersed. It's like this is your task and this is what you're supposed to be doing. So sidebar. It's just been such a talking point on the gaming side of this that to talk to a regular person that just plays the better game.
Yeah, right.
Annoying. Yeah.
I hear you. I'm pretty damn good though, I think.
Yeah.
For a chef who's not like, I'm pretty. I mean, when you go in those one rooms where I forget the one room where it's like
testers,
where it's just like you and
the lobby.
Yeah, like every man for themselves type of thing.
Free for all. Yeah.
I come in first place every time.
I'm
really scared to say that to a guy like this because he'll fucking rip you up. But like,
well, no, I don't know, right? Like, I do say that I'm the best 40-year-old or older Call of Duty player in the world because I'm like the demographics pretty easy to say that, right? But
I'm the best 44-year-old chef in Malibu ever,
right? Yeah, I mean, exactly. So. For me, like obviously, I'm a regular in comparison to my players. My players are in the top 1% of the top 1%, right? Yeah. So it's like I'm like you when I'm just like you, right? Mm-hmm. Like there is that level, and then there's the mere mortals that is us. So
very cool.
How much do you play, like on a daily basis?
I mean, to be honest, because I just recently moved to Malibu, I haven't played in a while. But like there's been times when my girlfriend's been like, okay, we might have to take your phone for a little bit. Yeah. For sure. My ex-girlfriend, she would be like, dude, what is going on? I mean, I probably play for a minute, I was playing a good 2 hours a day there for a while. And then during the pandemic, for sure, maybe 3. And then now that I moved to Malibu, things have I've been moving a lot, so I'm not like whatever. So kind of tamed it down. But last night I was definitely ripping for a few hours before bed.
Yeah.
I'm good, dude. I like it.
It's a good decompressor. It's a good keep my mind busy. Everybody's a gamer, right? The everybody.
And it takes, we live in a weird world right now, and there's a lot of weirdness attached to everything. It's like, one of our boys just got COVID that was supposed to be here with us, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So it's like anything that can take your mind off of like the realness of what's happening around us, whatever. If it's me, diabetes, COVID, the stress of just whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
If it's a little J and a little COD, that's healthy, man.
Name a better combo.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the your path to where you came.
Yep.
So let's start with right out of where did you say you went to several schools?
I just went to one school. I went to Johnson & Wales in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
And I was working there for a bit. Met my mentor, with working in the city, and then he was like, "You got to go to New York." And then that's kind of where
New York. So tell me about that. Like, what happens in New York? How do you find? Like, how was the weed like back then? Let me start there. So I look at that point.
Yeah, I mean, do you ever hear of like Cartoon Network and all that stuff back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's how we got our weed, and like it was all just delivery services, and the weed, it was only sour diesel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not a bad.
No, not at all. But like East Coast sour diesel, like that's what we had, and like we just straight up smoked a shit ton of sour.
We had Chi-Town Brown.
Really?
Yeah, it's just
dirt,
bushes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, just branches.
I get that.
So
wait, I want to smoke blueberry.
Yeah, blueberry's really good. I'm in the mode now where for shows like these, like on this episode, I'm only gonna smoke blueberry haze.
I love that.
Because what I feel happens is that the longer in the day I go with like smoking, like it just blends in with the same high, and there's
with the chem.
Yeah, no, just one strain.
One
strain for that. So, and I'm also a big believer in that too. Like if I'm here in California, like I'll only smoke one strain for a specific day. But for shows like these, I do need
switch it up.
I do need to switch it up. So I that's blueberry haze for me the whole show the whole show.
I like that. But no, the weed back in the day was funny, man. It was a lot of sour D. It was sometimes a pain in the ass to get. You would get on, if it was a weekend, you would wait for like 5 hours because the delivery drivers on their bikes would be backed up, and But yeah, that's how it kind of kicked off. And at first, I wasn't the biggest cannabis guy in New York from like age I don't know 20. I moved to New York when I was 23. So like 23 to 30, I wasn't the biggest cannabis guy. And then I got married, and my ex-wife loved pot. And then I fell in love with it. And then I went out to Montauk, and it's just what I did to, like, you know, I cooked, and it was just like, I think cooking and marijuana really go hand in hand. There's certain things in life that just make sense. And like, there's nothing better. Like, some people, for some chefs, they would say like, I'd rather drink a glass of wine, and to each their own. But for me, like, just the same thing that like a sommelier can tell you about wine and the tannins and where it came from and the fruit and the vintage and all these things. You and I can have that same conversation about the different strains and blah, 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 and what would go better with a linguine with clams, or like a meatloaf, or fucking your mom's queso chile piquin, like whatever, right? And we could have that, and we could be like, oh, maybe it's like a blueberry haze, maybe it's a chemda, maybe whatever. We could have that conversation. You know, I was a judge on that show.
I mean, I couldn't. I'm not that, like, I have my limitations as to my knowledge and my palate towards this. So, but I'd love to sit there and listen to it. All right,
yeah, I mean, for me, like, you know, like, that's why I really get off on cannabis and cooking, because
flavor profile.
Yeah, the flavor profile. But what's the word I'm looking for? What are those called? What's the biggest thing? Terpenes.
Terpenes.
I was like, oh my God, dude, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Because the terpenes, right? Because those terpenes, the limonene, like, think about that. If I'm gonna do like a crab ceviche, well, like, why would I not take some, you know, whatever kind of strain with, like, that's really pungent with the limonene terpene? Take you know what a microplane is?
No.
It's like what you would zest a lemon with.
Okay, yes.
Or like cheese to get it really fine.
Like a grater.
Like a grater.
Yeah.
It's a fancy chef name for a fucking grater. This guy. So why don't you take like a, you know, the grater or whatever, and take some of that fresh flour and just grate it over the top. Not that it's going to do anything for you you know.
It just won't react. It'll get lost in the thing. But the flavor,
but the flavor
yeah,
is all that I'm doing it for. And like, that's when, if you look at cannabis, like, you look at thyme, or you look at basil, or you look at rosemary, or you look at dill, or all of these things, and you just were to not even, again,
wow, that's
just treat it like an ingredient, dude.
Yeah, that's such a good way of thinking.
Then of course you can extract it and get the THC
infused.
But I'm just talking about if you're just using it, just like I'm using basil, just as a little bit at the end to kick it up a notch.
Like, fucking, what is that? It's weed. I know it's weed, but what is that?
You know what do you mean? The
person.
People. Yeah, they're like, what? And you know when you get flour on your lips and it's a little numbing sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like the trichomes or whatever?
Yeah.
Could you imagine, like, biting into, like, imagine, like, the most simple, like, whatever. Let's just get sexy for a second. What if we did, like, like a Tahitian vanilla bean goat cheese gelato, okay? And there's this perfect, like, quenelle of, like, white gelato in a bowl. And then you do a little Meyer lemon zest. And then you take some fresh sour diesel, fresh chem, fresh blueberry haze with, you know, whatever that pungent terp is, and just shave it over the top, and it's green and it's like sticky, and they put it in their mouth. They're like, what?
Yeah.
And now they're
the numbness of the coolness of the gelato, because it is ice, so that numbness plus that numbness equals wow.
And most people don't think like that. Especially when you're talking about, like, when people think about edibles, they're like, oh my God, I'm gonna like see Grateful Dead bears and fucking lose my mind. And
that's what drug does that do? Like, I've done shrooms, I've smoked a lot of pot, I've never done acid or any other drug to be honest, but like all the psychedelics, like, I've only seen that once with shrooms. I have never smoked.
The only time I've actually seen, I've eaten shrooms a lot, and the only time that I've actually, like, seen weird, what's it called? Hallucinations.
Hallucinations.
Was on. I've done acid, like, I guess twice in my life, and I was like 18 or 17 with my best friend, and we sometimes, if you're tripping
in the 90s, like early 90s,
94
acid,
93
like,
acid.
What, like, who regulated that?
Yeah, the Grateful Dead. Totally. So we were, and sometimes people say that if you're with, like, if you and I were to eat a dose of acid, you could see the same.
Yeah.
Like you could.
The wavelengths would. Yeah.
And so me and my buddy, we saw the same shit. It was a little hectic, and I was like, I'm never doing this shit again.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, me either. Never done acid again. Twice in my life. That's all it took.
Have you had the cracking flashback or?
Yeah, no. Is that real?
I don't know. Is it?
Is it?
Yes, he's shaking. Yeah, but
I thought it was like one of those urban folklore things, because But no, I don't
like
know.
weed is a gateway drug to what? Shrooms?
I
In better
I
times?
definitely remember my my stepdad telling me that. He was like, "This is a gateway drug," and I was like, "This sounds like an after-school commercial."
Yeah. That's not cool, Dad.
Yeah, right.
And you know what? My dad is cool. So what are we talking about? Why
Exactly.
are you saying these uncool things?
Yeah, right. Totally.
Flip it on him. He's like, you know what, son?
Mhm.
God damn it. You're right.
You're right.
Yeah, you're right. I don't give a fuck. I was just acting like a parent for no reason.
Totally.
Yeah. Would I have the same conversation with my daughter who's 12? Like 18, 21. Like that's when you can start smoking.
Right.
Yeah. If she chooses, obviously.
Yeah, I have a friend who was like that, who like was around their child was around it, and
Yeah.
but it wasn't allowed until 18.
Yeah. Look, when you're 18, you can. What are we gonna say?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know.
If you can drive to the 7-Eleven, you can drive to go get a joint.
Yeah. If you can. Yeah. Whatever. Fucking rules.
Sorry, you're like a dad. I'm not a dad. He's probably like, fuck, he's right.
But you do have 3 dogs.
I do have 3 dogs. Yeah, I love them dearly. They're like,
I have 8. Yeah.
in Dallas.
8 in Dallas.
Wow.
Yeah.
And 2 kids.
One kid.
Oh, 1 kid. Well,
Yeah.
still,
No,
I
my
mean,
wife has 2 kids.
Wow.
Yeah, me and my daughter. Right? She's got to take care of everyone. Right? She's got 10 kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. She has 10 kids.
10 kids. 11 if you count the fucking turtle.
Wow. All the same breed?
No, this is the cool. 3 Chihuahuas. One of them was my best friend, Schofield, 14 years old, deaf and blind, not dumb, deaf and blind. Smells perfect.
Deaf and blind forever, or just that?
Oh no, just age.
Age, sure.
Yeah. So, the 3 Chihuahuas, a Pomeranian, a Bichon Frise, I think that's what they're called, Bichon Frise.
Yeah.
A mini golden doodle, a golden doodle, and a Great Dane Mastiff named Henry.
Wow.
196 pounds. We'll get to 201 this winter if it gets colder.
How
Right
much
now
is
it's
your
30.
dog food month bill?
The
Your
bill?
bill a month.
Who fucking knows? Jude handles all those economics.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Dude,
they get paid.
yeah, totally. Wow.
They're not starving,
See,
these
I feed these-
fucking freeloaders.
You know, I feed my dogs pretty cool. I don't know what you feed them, but I do raw.
Farmer's dog.
Oh, I know what that is. So I do raw. So like, meaning. Like,
I do raw too.
yeah, but no, like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Different podcast.
Yeah, right. No, but like I'll get like beef liver, beef heart, chicken parts, chicken whatever.
Yeah.
Fish head, bone.
Heads, all of it. Bones.
Yeah.
Wait, fish bones or?
Dogs can eat bones as long as they're not cooked. Fish
Yeah.
bones they can just crunch right through,
Dude,
no matter
I've
what.
been
But
saying this forever. I'm like, it's like, don't give them a bone. And I'm like, if I eat
raw bones.
When you say raw bones, what do you mean?
I mean, like I wouldn't cook a T-bone and then give my dog the bone from a cooked T-bone.
Well,
but I would,
because it's shrunken down to like
because those bones are, after it's cooked, it has the ability to splinter. When it's a raw bone, they're just going to crunch into it and it's going to shatter.
So, scenario: I'm eating Hooters hot wings, 911 or TMI because it's not that kind of day. I'm done eating it. Wing bones are left on there. No more spice. Like a dog could eat that and nothing happened, right? Is it because it's fried?
Also a chicken cooked bone. A cooked bone for a chicken. Cooked chicken bones also aren't that bad for a dog.
Yeah,
because they're very brittle.
Yeah,
it's pork bones and beef bones that are cooked that become an issue because when they crunch into them, they don't shatter, they splinter, and then it could get stuck somewhere. But I mean, I literally I get a whole turkey, a whole bird. I just hack it up with the
cleaver.
The cleaver, thank you. And on the fucking cutting board, and I put in some cooked sweet. The only thing they eat that's cooked is sweet potatoes and carrots and peas.
Yeah.
So I'll take all that those cooked ingredients in with all the raw, whatever it may be, heart, face, liver.
So you give them all that?
All of it.
Yeah, my wife buys from Farmer's Dog, and
that's easier. It's just
it's like pureed shit, right? Like, and she's like, it's human food. You should try it. I'm not eating that. I'm not putting that in me. And she's like, no, it's like human food. I'm like, I understand that I could eat that, but I could, in theory, also eat a piece of chalk. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna eat it just because I can.
It's true.
But
I hate. Yeah, it's funny. People are always like, "You should try this. It's made from peanut butter and oats." I'm like, I know. I just, if I wanted peanut butter and oats, I guess I would eat a spoonful of peanut butter. I'm not gonna eat it in a dog treat.
Yeah, exactly.
Call me crazy,
Yeah,
but like,
I'm good.
I'm good. Honestly, I'm good.
Oh man. All right. So you have 2 restaurants, right? Or I'm sorry. You work at 2 restaurants. You're at 2 restaurants.
Well, I'm kind of in between places right now. I do a lot of private cooking. I'm working on a sauce company. There's just a lot going on. So I'm, thinking about, taking over something out where I live. But yeah. So I'm kind of.
What is it? What, like, obviously, being a chef is also being an artist. Obviously, like it's at the very core of it.
Very much
is,
so, yeah.
Yeah. Is that like any traditional artist, you could book Las Vegas and just fucking work Las Vegas on stage the whole time,
I've had
right?
all of those opportunities, but a lot of them like make me kind of sick.
That's what I'm saying. What would you rather be doing, right? Because anyone
doing exactly what I'm doing.
Awesome.
Sitting here with you, being able to smoke a joint, talking about how like food can be medicine. How if you're a diabetic and it doesn't have to be this black cloud. How if you're used to eating authentic Mexican food and like whatever it is, that's what I want to be talking. That's exactly what I'm doing. It's like I don't necessarily, sometimes artists, right? You begin to see one-dimensionally, like, well, I'm a chef, so that means I have to be behind the line cooking. It means I have to be serving the masses of asses, whether they have gratitude or not, whatever it is. But like that's the story of a lot of chefs' lives, and for me, I just have a lot more to offer than that. I can't just be trapped behind a line cooking for the 40 people or 100 people that, you know what I mean? I need to be meeting people like you that are doing amazing things in their field. I need to be out like, talking to other diabetics and trying to help their parents get them on a path of like, help them get their family on a path of like clean eating and economical organic vibes in their refrigerator, et cetera. And like, that's what makes to me, maybe it's not the most lucrative thing I could do because maybe I could go to Las Vegas and have a restaurant in the wind that serves 800 people a night, but maybe at the same time I wouldn't feel happy there.
Dude, 1,000%.
Nothing against the Wynn or Las Vegas. I'm just saying that like, I'm talking about me personally, and I know what makes me tick, and helping people through my experience and knowledge is what helps me.
Yeah. At the core of my question was like, being a chef could be like a million different things, right? You could be in a restaurant, you could be traveling, you could be like,
an instructor,
but if I was a chef, like I think that the coolest thing would be to hang out, like do what you do, right? You could do any of that, but to meet people, just going to different parties, like the amount of people that you meet at parties, just in general, imagine being a centerpiece of the party.
Or just like the people, and like my clients that live, in Malibu, like they're household names, and they're people that are like game changing in their fields, that are like all iconic legends in what they do.
You can learn from.
That you can learn from, and being in their presence is intoxicating because of what they do and how much they have overcome and achieved in their lifetime, whether they're 80 or 40 or 26 or whatever it is. It's like, when you really start to do, it goes back to the thing. You want to make like the most out of life. It's like, not that I have everything figured out, but I do know this, that if you do what you fucking love, you're going to be a hell of a lot better off than,
Amen.
You know what I mean? So if you can make less money doing what you love and like have your soul in check and your overall mental health,
happiness,
you know what I'm saying? And be happy like with your station in life. That's where I think,
that's winning.
That's winning. And I was fortunate enough to know at a really young age that like food really made me happy. And that then I got diagnosed with type 1, and I'm like, well, shit, not only does food make me really happy cooking, but now it's about my life, my longevity and my longevity, which then turned into my livelihood of how I survive, right?
Yeah.
Through getting my paycheck and through using food as my serum.
Your passion.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time when they ask, it's like, what is the goal? Like, how do I get to where you got to? And I tell them that the goal should be to be able to pay your bills doing something that you love doing. Right?
That's it.
If that is making $3,000 a month, playing video games, and that's your passion, you're living the American. You're living the human dream.
It's
right?
true.
To live a life of passion and spending your entire time doing what you want to do.
That's right.
Versus doing a doctor's job when you're at heart, a chef, a gamer, an artist at heart, but getting all the money in the world.
Yeah,
What's the point? Because you're gonna spend all of that money that you're making and trying to figure out how to do what you love.
and that's, I've been there. I've tasted both sides of that, right? Because I've had restaurants, big restaurants that were in the covers of magazines and in the bottom of the fanciest hotel that costs God only knows what type of money to put together, like sick money, stupid money.
Yeah.
And so I've had that side, so I can speak from experience to say, like, no, you know what really makes me happy? Going into your home, and cooking for 8 or 9 people, and not being on the cover of the magazine for doing it, but know that, like, I left a really good mark on your family.
Yeah.
You and I now have a bond. You may have learned something. I learned something from hanging with you. And you're going to tell your friend that you go to shoot with next week, like, yo, you got to meet the chef, dude. He made the craziest dish I've ever had. It was with 4 ingredients, and it was inspired by my mom.
Yeah. Yeah. That is it. Right? That is what life's about.
Yeah, that's what life's about, man.
Yeah. I didn't just hop into this thing because I said, I mean, yeah, there's a massive opportunity in cannabis, but I love it. My art is better. My food tastes better. I mean, it's
of course. I mean, listen, we all have to do, like, yeah, I'm in food, right? Because I love it, but also I'm here to make a paycheck from it. I have to pay my bills. I have to survive.
I
so
live
like
the life of worth.
That's right. And however we get there, whether it's, that's the thing. I think that's the beauty of being in a place where we can be a part of gaming, we can be a part of culinary, we can be a part of cannabis, we can be a part of fashion, we can be a part of acting, we can do anything. And I think that's the beauty of living in a place where or having a community, I should say, right? Because you can be anywhere. It's about having the community that allows you to create and supports that, and kind of like,
and what better time, right? Like, this is literally the only time in human history where a regular person who's passionate about one thing can make a living easier than it was in the past.
It's wild.
Yeah, that to me is like what makes this whole everything so interesting to me, because I come from a place and time in which the internet wasn't a part of our daily lives.
Yeah.
And like meaningful, thoughtful, human development stages of us as humans. So obviously, you using cannabis on a daily basis, doing what you do on a daily basis, has your creativity become a little bit more enhanced, and is the food better because of it? Like, what sort of inspiration do you find?
I think that, like, I think cannabis is a huge part of my life. I use it, instead of having to deal with anxiety and like leaning on a pharmaceutical, something like Xanax, or wanting to drink a glass of wine or a beer, and having to deal with like my sugar fluctuate, and the kind of like if there's a hangover involved tomorrow. I just think cannabis is I think it's allowed my creativity to go to places that that I didn't necessarily think were possible, with the dishes, with the relationships that it's helped me forged. And I've written books on it. I've been on every any kind of situation where I've just been in some really awesome situations where cannabis has always been a part of it. I got to be honest. Like, both my books I wrote while using cannabis. All of my restaurants I've opened, I was using cannabis.
A joint and a typewriter is what I was going to say. Right?
100%. I mean, a joint. I have ADHD, right? So I'm always on the
guilty.
move.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to like sit. You guys probably see me like moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like so I'm always on the go. I'm tall. I'm lean. It's because I'm moving a lot. I'm walking. When I lived in Venice, I was doing like 20,000 steps in the morning. In Malibu, it's a little different because you kind of drive a little bit more there. But I wrote my first book walking back and forth over the Williamsburg Bridge, just typing on my phone, working with my team and everything. And I just think that cannabis kind of gets a bad rap sometimes, where it's like it's associated with like, I don't know, just stone, like dick and fart jokes and stoner,
laziness.
And like laziness.
Yeah.
Like one of my close friends, he's the number one fucking longboarder in the world. I think he's 45 years old. He's won 3 championships. Blitzed. Joel Tudor. Do you know him?
Mm-mm.
Google him. He's fucking a legend. And he's high as fuck.
All the time.
And guess what? not only is he a fucking 3-time, world champion longboarder, he's also owns a jiu-jitsu studio in San Diego. His kids are on their way to be pro surfers and pro skaters and probably pro fighters. He'll take any one of us down within this second that we blink, and he'll do it like after taking 17 bong hits.
Yeah.
Dude, like there's people out there.
That's highly productive.
That's what I'm saying. It's highly productive. I've started I was part of a founding team that started the world's largest 501c3 called Beyond Type 1 to help advocate and fund a cure and all these things. And it grew to the world's largest in 6 years. Mm-hmm. I did that while I was highly productive. Yeah. I'm now on the board of the DRIF, the Diabetes Research Institute Foundation. We have, monthly Zoom calls and cooking that's happening all over the country to raise awareness.
To get done, and you're able to do it
on a daily basis. Yeah. I've never skipped a beat because of it.
Yeah,
I may have skipped a beat in the time that it took me to locate it.
Yeah. Right. That is the thing, right? But people say all the time, right? And if you count the in there daily, like it comes to a temporary lapse in your train of thought. I mean, yeah, it's enhanced. That's super enhanced when you're. I mean, how many times did we lose our train of thought?
Totally.
But it went somewhere. That thought got to the end of it.
It did.
The amount of people that have a thought and it's just like they half-ass it and just leave it to space. No, we finish.
We finish it. It's the journey.
What is the most creative? What's your dish?
I don't know if I have a dish, man, that's just like I stick to. I'm kind of like it. I never really cook the same thing once unless I'm doing it in a cookbook or a restaurant. I just, most recently I've kind of learned that I think plant-based is probably the way to go, where it's not like I won't ever eat meat again, but it's more plant-based, like gatherer-based and then hunter second, right? So if let's say there's 30 dinners in a month, right? I'm maybe 19 of my dinners will be like vegetarian or vegan or something like that. So with that being said, I don't really have a dish that I go to. It's more of like a philosophy that I fall back on. And that's just like finding the food that we kind of grew up eating, nostalgic food, but making it healthier. And, if it was using white flour and white sugar 10 years ago, well, let's try and use almond flour and coconut sugar to recreate it, that type of thing. So it's like a philosophy of keeping it clean as possible.
Do you believe that you can have a favorite dish? Obviously, your palate being as developed, try it as much as you did.
Yeah, I mean, listen, a favorite dish, you mean like that I like to cook or that I like to eat?
Yeah, just what is can you, like you, who has tasted almost everything that there is to taste, do you believe that you could have just one dish that is your go-to? Like if you're on death row, last thing that you're going to eat, what is it? And how do you pick from the thousands of dishes that you've tried and combinations that you haven't even implemented?
Gosh. I mean, if I was on death row, like my last meal.
Yeah. It's today. Boom. In like literally 1 hour, now, you're out. Lights out, buddy. What are you eating? We got to put in the order right now.
All right. Yeah. So I guess I'm going to
DoorDash.
I guess, I need like 3. I just want a shit ton of roasted bone marrow.
Okay.
With gremolata.
Okay.
And some like toasted sourdough to put it on and some Celtic sea salt. And then like a shit ton of Alaskan crab legs with drawn butter. Not like shitty like snow crab legs, but like proper Bering Sea, like fucking real deal crab legs that like the ones that I used to serve at my restaurant in New York City with drawn butter. That's good. You give me crab legs and the bone marrow, I'm good, man.
Yeah, kill me.
Yeah. With sourdough and like, that's it. And fuck me, you can take me after that.
Take me during it if you're able to let me see it, right?
Totally. And maybe a Wagyu steak. Yeah. I mean, the last time you're going to die, last time before you die, you got to throw fucking an A5 Wagyu on there.
Okay. All right. Well, look, we didn't even get a chance to go into your travels and all the interesting stuff that I wanted to ask because of time limitations, but
Next
if it's cool with you, I'd like to do a follow up and like really get into like all of that.
And next time I'll bring you some, like I'll bring you a few different, like, so I'm working on a sauce company that I'm about to launch. So
Yeah.
I'll bring you that, and it's
please.
not gonna it's not gonna be in line with your mom's, your grandma's, what's it called?
Chile piquin.
Chile piqueño, but hopefully you like it.
Yeah,
and piquin.
Yeah, piquin.
Yeah,
Piquin.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
Piquin. Bro, thank you so much, man.
Lots of love,
Had a
man.
lot
Hell yeah.
of fun.
Hell yeah, me too, dude.
Let's all his information is gonna be listed in the description down below. All of his information, anything and everything. So I look forward to continuing this
Definitely, man.
newly sparked friendship.
fuck
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
I like
'Cause
it. Yeah,
I definitely want to do the cooking from my mom to you, and then you
I would love that,
reinventing
dude.
that.
Yeah.
I think that there's something there.
And then we'll play with the cannabis, you know.
And then we'll do the tests. I don't know if I think my mom would smoke.
It's not gonna, she doesn't even have to smoke it. We're just gonna
I'm just saying.
break it up on there.
Yeah.
Dude, I used to, my favorite person, I used to smoke with my mom all the time in Williamsburg and Brooklyn. But then she would just get so high. Like I would do, like I would make her take gravity bong hits and like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, she did a few dabs with me one time. And she was just like, you know, because when your mom is 70, that means she smoked pot in the 60s, and pot in the 60s wasn't that. No. You know, it's not what it is now.
No.
So like, yeah, dude, my mom would do a gravity bong or smoke a dab, and she would just be, whoa. It's just fucked up.
Love it.
All right, bro.
Man. Thank you,
man.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
That was fun, dude.
Dude, that was so fun.